The early spring rains have slowed down the footsteps of the foot-traveling Sangha, worsened our sickness, but our journey continued uninterrupted. It doesn't matter what happens. With a steadfast heart, nothing can stop us from following the Buddha's footsteps. Sổ and Āloka were just as wet as we are. Poor Āloka. Despite applying cream several times, his legs hasn't healed. He kept living with 3 legs through the rain, wind, and dense cold fog. After walking a short distance, he lied flat on the road to catch his breath. The other monks and I continually called out his name to urge him on. Each time he laid down in the middle of the road with half-closed eyes. Upon hearing us calling his name, he opened his eyes, tried to get up, and move on. It was not only the Sangha who were enthusiastic about and preserving this arduous road. Sổ and Āloka were equally enthusiastic. Āloka seemed so determined not to give up despite his injured and tired legs after a journey of more than 1,500 kilometers. If they could overcome all the tribulations and hardships on this journey, their accumulated merits would be truly immeasurable. May the blessing enable Āloka, light, to find his own light. Since the day that he was born, this was the first time he walked with the foot-traveling Sangha in the earthly yellow road, who are going through every nook and cranny of life to retrace the ancient path. After each long walk, our 4-legged companions would roll out to sleep, each taking a corner at the resting place. Āloka was always dirty from habits of rolling on the ground, sand, and black coalstone he found along the way. We passed by cities through the fog so dense that one could not see beyond 7 steps. Even the light of the flashlight could not pierce the fog, so visibility was limited. Some of us did not use flashlights, relying on the reflection of the dashed line on the floor. We kept going, crossing villages, country roads, and empty fields, absent any helpful person. We passed through flea markets, long rivers, and vast sandbars. It wasn't until nearly 12 noon that the dew dissipated, giving away the sun. It was this harsh cycle of a cold morning, hot afternoon, and then the cold and humid evening that made it impossible for us to improve our illnesses. Each time we recovered from one symptom, we would quickly develop a new one to replace it. We crossed the vast sugarcane fields during the harvest season. Everywhere we see the sugarcane fields stretch endlessly. We saw farm tractors and trucks full of sugarcane following each other on winding roads that seemed to want to overturn. Each truck was overloaded, sometimes twice or even 3 times its capacity. Sometimes a thought came to mind. What if this truck, full of sugarcane, overturned and crashed on top of the Sangha? Death would be swiftly sweet. Whoa. How whimsical such thoughts were. The sugarcane fields were bustling with activity. Everyone had their own task. Cutters, scrapers, gatherers, and carriers were all hard at work, with sugarcanes piled high and being loaded onto trucks. Everyone had their own task. Cutters, scrapers, gatherers, and carriers were all hard at work, with sugarcane piled high and being loaded onto trucks. The women and the children would gather the sugarcane tops into large bundles and carry them on their heads, possibly to take home as food for the buffaloes, cows, and pigs. The local villagers also offered freshly harvested sugarcane to the foot-traveling Sangha, and they also said that they would take as much as we wanted. The local villagers also offered freshly harvested sugarcane to the foot-traveling Sangha, and they also said that we could take as much as we wanted. Along every stretch of road, there was a free sugarcane juice milling station. Sugarcane juice milling stations. It may sound grandiose, but it is just 2 pieces of wood buried in the ground, with crossbars and 2 iron lumps closed together and squeeze the sugarcane. A wooden shaft on the top of the swing, much like a rice grinder. The black and dirty chute beneath led to a mug and a barrel to hold sugarcane juice. The process was simple. Just push the cane between the iron lumps and turn the handle. In this way, they made sugarcane juice available to drink. The kindness and hospitality of the people in India towards the Sangha is truly heartwarming. They showed their respect by bowing with their hands together and offering biscuits and other small gestures of kindness. On long and muddy roads, young men would even buy boxes of biscuits just to offer them to the monks, presenting the food with a reverential gesture of hand claps over their heads and eyes closed. Such display of generosity and hospitality are truly touching. It is worth mentioning that the police officers took turns escorting the Sangha from the morning to evening by cars, motorcycles, and walking. They accompanied us and ensured our safety until we reached our next rest stop. On one part of their journey, they even stayed overnight to safeguard the entire group. The chief of the police also followed us and offered us to stay with their jurisdiction for added protection. However, we regretfully had to decline as our route had already been planned, and we would not stay for an extended period. On the other hand, there was no shortage of insensitive people. In the middle of the night, drunk men would go into monks' sleeping grounds, shine flashlights into our tent, and ask where we came from. They would call us to talk and then laugh and talk loudly, making it difficult for us to sleep. In fact, everyone was tired or sick and did not have enough food. Sensing that the situation was not heading in the right direction, I took the flashlight and walked outside my tent, kindly asked them to leave. Thankfully, they would nod meekly and got their Honda motorbikes and take off, allowing the Sangha to catch some much-needed sleep. However, little we could. Blessings don't return promptly. Adversities don't come just once. In other words, blessings are rare, while adversities are a diamond in the desert. The phrase I used to recite when sharing the Dharma now appears vividly in my mind. Blessings are not easily received multiple times because upon receiving a blessing, the mind becomes unguarded and unpleasant, and thus susceptible to defilements. When such defilements dominate the mind, blessings can no longer have a chance to bear fruit. On the other hand, adversities don't come just once. Refers to suffering that arrives once after the other, stacking on top of each other, leaving no time for breathing. The fruit of suffering leads to the emergence of defilements, which, in turn, interacts with unwholesome karma in the past to produce fruit in the present. The 3 rounds include round of defilement, kilita vata, round of the volition action, karma vata, and the round of results, vipaka vata. Every time we reap bad results, defilements arise. Because we don't know how to handle these defilements, we often sow unwholesome karma by actions, leading to fruits of suffering, which is in return more defilements, creating a never-ending cycle of samsara. Not everything that comes to us is due to karma. We can't blame everything. We can't blame everything on karma. Instead, we need to look at our existing self. How is it going? Will our initial patience, diligence, and determination will be diminished? When faced with so many things happening at once, do we struggle and become frustrated? How do we react when this 4-element body feels the anguish piling up? Of course, some people may complain, criticize, lament, sigh, worry, and be afflicted. Others see it as medicine for the mind, life challenges, and the past bad fruits that need to be paid for. Alternatively, we can calmly accept these experiences as they go without further speculation and acknowledge them when they come and go. In the same manner, if ignorance and craving still exist, the path we take from the beginless to the endlessly will never be free from realities. For those eager to practice, the crucial aspect is not avoidance of these defilements, but rather how we confront them and the reactions the mind has to them. When faced with these realities, do we incorporate the Buddha's teachings into our daily lives? And there are many, many more to consider.